First round of the playoffs down. Do we think we're going to see the same domination in the second round? Well, hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Pucked Up. I am Chris, joined with me this week is D.
Hello.
Dude, first round of the playoffs is over.
I know. It is.
I don't know what to make of it. Like,
yeah.
Holy fuck. Also,
Yeah.
we can talk about the fact that only one of us still has a correct Stanley Cup pick. So,
Who is it? Is it me?
I believe so.
No way.
Didn't you pick Carolina, right?
I don't know.
You don't remember who you picked?
No, I have no fucking memory of that. We'll have to watch the footage back. I really don't remember.
I'm pretty sure you picked Carolina because Danger picked Winnipeg, and they were unceremoniously
last week or at the start of the season?
yeeted. No, last week.
Okay, then yeah, I definitely picked Carolina last week.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I'm the only one that made a preseason prediction. You and Danger refused. You
That's
were both
true,
like, I don't have enough. I don't have enough info. It's like y'all did it last year.
We did say that.
Yeah, and then I obviously picked Vegas, and they lost in a 7-game series. So,
And
yeah,
they did.
Oh, dude, that shit was wild.
Hee.
I do have a lot that I want to talk about with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Obviously, once that comes through. But let's start with the PWHL.
Yeah, let's get into it. So first things first, we are also getting ready for playoffs for the PWHL. They just had their final eliminations, and the first ever PWHL semifinal game is scheduled for May 10th, and it's going to be Minnesota at Toronto. So Minnesota and Toronto are playing each other, and Boston and Montreal are playing each other. Those are the 4 teams that made it into the PWHL playoffs. And so we'll see those games run from May 8th and 9th through May 17th and 19th. And that's a if necessary situation because, as a reminder, the PWHL is doing a best of 5, which means that one team just has to win 3 games in order to move on into the next and final round. So that should be really fun to watch, which also means we should have a winner for them kind of coinciding with a winner for our regular NHL games as well, or at least coinciding with the announcement of the final rounds.
Yeah, it looks like they'll probably end up around the same time.
Yeah. So tickets for Toronto's first 2 playoff games went on sale on what day was this? No clue. Awesome.
They went on sale when they
went on sale. I think it was either yesterday or today. And within the first day of them being live, they were limited to standing room only tickets remaining.
That's amazing.
That's how quickly those first 2 games sold out.
That's amazing.
Which is just incredible.
We love to see that.
We absolutely do. Single game tickets in Minnesota will be available beginning Wednesday, May 8th. So it is tomorrow ahead of their first ever game because again they won't be in Minnesota for a little bit as they do that whole switch. They do 2 at Toronto, 2 at Minnesota, 1 at Toronto.
Yeah.
So those have not yet sold, so they cannot yet be sold out, but we'll obviously be tracking those numbers. Again, we are so excited to watch these girls continue to kill it and continue to set and break records. The fact that within hours of tickets going up, they were practically all gone there in Toronto is just incredible. And tickets for Boston's games went on sale live today. Or the ticket packages, I should say, went live today, and then the single ticket games will go live on May 9th. So that is pretty cool. So stay tuned for more postseason coverage for the PWHL. Secondly, we do have our final 3 stars of the week for the PWHL for the week ending in May 5th. So as always, we will start with our 3rd star. And then actually I have some nice sort of numbers about the standings in terms of 3 stars. All right,
Oh,
third star. We have Hillary Knight, who's a right winger for Boston. Knight is named as one of the PWHL's 3 stars of the week for the first time as Boston's captain recorded her second multi-point game of the season in her lone contest last week. And her timing couldn't have been better. With Boston needing at least 1 point against Montreal to stay alive in the playoff race, Knight put up a goal and an assist, leading her team to a 4-3 regulation victory in thrilling fashion, securing 3 points in the standings. The 34-year-old got her team on the board first, outmuscling a Montreal defender to notch her 6th goal of the season. Knight then demonstrated her playmaking ability, threading the needle through traffic to set up Megan Keller in the second period. With her team's season on the line, Knight played 27 minutes and 30 seconds and added 5 shots on goal. Next, we have our second star, Natalie Spooner, right winger from Toronto. Spooner is named as one of the PWHL's 3 stars of the week for the 5th time this season, as the forward continued her torrid scoring pace last week. Spooner tallied 4 goals across 2 games, notching 2 goals in each match, while clinching the game-winning goal in both. The 33-year-old kicked off her stellar week in a battle against Minnesota on May 1st, as she scored her league-leading 6th power play marker, the game's winner, and added a highlight reel breakaway tally to secure the win for her team. In the PWHL's final regular season game on May 5th, Spooner added her league-leading goal total with 2 more tallies, including her 7th power play goal and 5th game winner, also tops in the PWHL, in a 5-2 win against Ottawa as she ended her season with 20 goals in 24 games. With the inaugural PWHL regular season wrapped up, Spooner officially claimed the league's first 2 awards, the 2024 PWHL points leader with 20 goals, 7 assists, and the 2024 PWHL top goal scorer with 20 goals. And lastly, coming in at our first star, we have Ella Shelton, a defensiveman from New York. Shelton is named first star of the week for the first time this season after leading all PWHL players in scoring last week. In 2 games played, Shelton had 6 points, 2 goals, and 4 assists, leading the PWHL New York to 2 straight regulation victories. The 26-year-old had back-to-back 3-point efforts, matching her season high from January 14th. First, on April 30th against Ottawa, Shelton had a goal and 2 assists, all in the second frame, helping New York storm back from a 2-0 deficit en route to a 4-3 win, which secured the first overall pick in the 2024 PWHL draft for her team. Shelton followed that up again by recording a goal and 2 assists as New York defeated Minnesota 5-2 on May 4th. 3 of Shelton's 4 assists last week were primary, and she added 8 shots on goal, averaging nearly 25 minutes through 2 games. With her offensive output, Shelton took over the scoring race among all PWHL defenders, finishing the season with 21 points, 7 goals, 14 assists, 3 more than the next highest scoring defender. When the PWHL regular season officially came to an end on Sunday, Shelton sat 5th in scoring in the league. So, now for a little extra information. After the regular season, Natalie Spooner is the 3 stars of the week leader with 100 points. Ottawa's Brianne Jenner sits second with 70 points, while Marie-Philip Poulin from Montreal and Sarah Nurse from Toronto are tied for third place with 60 points apiece. As a reminder, the 3 stars for the PWHL continue through the postseason. They do not do that for the NHL. And points are awarded to each selection and help determine rankings at the end of the PWHL playoff. So for every first star appearance you make, you get 30 points. For every second star appearance, it's 20, and for every third star, it is 10. So we have some interesting stats here. The only 2 people in the top 5 entries that have sole possession are Natalie Spooner of Toronto with 100 points, Brianne Jenner of Ottawa with 70 points, Marie-Philip Poulin and Sarah Nurse tied for third with 60 points, and Ella Shelton and Daryl Watts tied for 50 points each as well. Continuing down that list are a couple of other names. We have a 4-way tie for 7th with Kristen Campbell, Alex Carpenter, Kendall Coyne Schofield, and Elena Mueller, all tied with 40 points. So these girls have been killing it week after week. And it's so cool that they have such a complete breakdown, including the people who just had their first ever introduction as the 3rd star of the week,
right.
all being tied for 21st place, which is kind of cool. So yeah, look forward to seeing more 3 stars of the week and to see these girls continue to kill it as they go through their postseason schedule here.
Listen, the only thing I'm seeing is Natalie Spooner, and the only thing I'm hearing is MVP, MVP,
Right.
MVP. Like, when do we hand her the
Absolutely.
award?
Yeah.
Does Toronto have to win?
I mean,
Can we
I
just
think
give
that
her the MVP?
Yeah, I think we have to get a little bit further in because they're still waiting. They're still counting some things.
That's wild.
The regular season goal totals have been announced, as I had said before,
Yeah.
but we're waiting on some postseason stuff to, I guess, name an overall. But yeah,
No.
Spooner, if she's not on that short list, would be
Yeah,
insane. That'd
no,
be
she's
like,
not a finalist, then it's bullshit
yeah,
right there.
it'd be like leaving McDavid off of something. You know what I mean?
Yes,
That's
I know.
crazy.
Which we'll talk about him in a bit too.
We will, yeah. His name comes up a bit.
Um, we did have some movers and shakers though
We did.
in the NHL as of coaching.
Yeah. So a quick overview of all of the changes in 2024 so far. We had the Buffalo Sabres, the Los Angeles Kings, the New Jersey Devils, the Ottawa Senators, the San Jose Sharks, the Seattle Kraken, the St. Louis Blues, and the Winnipeg Jets. So that is 8 teams that have said goodbye to a coach on their staff. So Buffalo fired Don Granato and has hired Lindy Ruff. The Kings fired Todd McClellan, no replacement yet. New Jersey fired Lindy Ruff, no replacement yet. Ottawa fired DJ Smith and have replaced him with Travis Green. San Jose fired David Quinn, no replacement yet. Seattle fired Dave Hackstuhl, no replacement yet. St. Louis obviously fired Craig Berube and replaced him with Drew Bannister. And Rick Bowness was not fired, he retired, and they
Yes.
have yet to replace him. So with that, I will say that Rick Bowness walked off the ice following Winnipeg Jets' final loss of the season, which eliminated them from playoffs. And he said, "Coaches have always told me when they've always said you'll know when it's time, and it just hit me then. It's time. When I leave, I just want to be remembered. I just love the game, and I respected the game. I love this league, and I respect this league." Um, so he did say that health issues of his own and his wife's have played a role in this decision, which went beyond disappointment over losing to Colorado in just 5 games. He did a good enough job the rest of the season, obviously, to be a finalist for the Jack Adams Award as Coach of the Year for the first time for leading the Jets to a franchise record 52 wins and a second consecutive postseason appearance in as many seasons on the job. He was planning to retire in the summer of 2022 before Winnipeg general manager Kevin, I don't know how to pronounce that, Cheveldayoff. I don't know where to put the emphasis on which syllable. Anyway, called
Yeah,
to
no, I
pursue him
hear
to
you.
take one more shot at winning the Stanley Cup. Um, so that's why he stuck around, but um, he is retiring. So
Yeah.
shout out to Rick.
As a
Really
head
incredible.
coach, 803 career games, a win or I guess a record of
Hmm.
310 wins, 408 losses in regulation, 48 losses in or 48 ties and 37 overtime losses. He had 5 playoff appearances, 28 and 31. One, two, three, four, 5 times yeah, 5 times he made it. Never won the Stanley Cup, but
Yeah,
lost in 2019, 2020 in the Stanley Cup Finals to Tampa Bay Lightning.
yeah. He did say, and he had a quote about that. He was asked about that, and he said, "It's not winning the Stanley Cup. It's always been important, but over the years, as you age, you hope you have an impact on your players' lives off of the ice, on the ice,
Yeah,
and that's been more important to me over the last 10 years. I've had some runs at the Stanley Cup and things happen that are out of your control with injuries and everything. And then you lose the cup and okay, things happen that are out of your control. What is in your control every day is the impact that you can have on your players on and off the ice. And I think that's really such a great thing to put in perspective as you're walking out the door because I know that his players valued him um, and that he had an impact beyond just how many cups he brought to his teams.
right.
So that's um, really special, and hope all the best for him. Hopefully, they give him a nice send off. I'm sure that they will, since it's a retiring and not a firing. They
Yeah,
tend to
no,
treat those with a little more respect.
I, I know, and like think about the situation he had to step into.
Yeah, and I
Obviously
mean,
with
think of
the
how he righted that ship,
uproar.
though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and look how great they did this season. Granted, I don't
yeah,
think the playoff showing really indicates how good that team was,
hmm,
but like that was a hard situation to step in and he did the best he could and going
absolutely.
out in the playoffs, I think that's a big thing.
Yeah,
I know
absolutely.
as of time of recording right now, I've got game 2 of the Rangers and Hurricanes going. It's in overtime.
Go
Holy
Canes,
shit.
go, baby.
Yeah, honestly,
We're in agreement
I
on this
did
one.
I did pick them to make the cup finals, so
Yeah.
that's not. I'm sitting there like, oh, I want to see how this ends. But knowing these two teams, it's gonna take
It's gonna go
fucking
for fucking ever.
6 overtimes. We're gonna get a
A
seventh
million in
inning
4 years.
stretch. I know.
Yeah.
They just played. How many games they play? Like 6. We did get the draft lottery today.
We did. That was
Also
true.
news about during the draft lottery broadcast from
Mm-hmm.
NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman that announced that the NHL draft will in 2024 will be taking place in Las Vegas at the Sphere. Which is
Sure.
super cool. They're going to be using the technology, the Sphere. I would imagine by now all of you
Yeah.
know what this is. It's really cool. Like going back onto my own YouTube channel when I went to Vegas, I have
Mm-hmm.
like recordings of that being built and not even knowing what it was, which is super cool. Um,
You're just like, here's the thing. Look.
yeah. Well, like my best friend lives out there, and
Yeah.
she's her whole life she's been there. Even she was at that point, like I don't know what that is. Now we know. And I
Mm-hmm.
get to go out there in September, which will be awesome, and I'll actually be able to see it, and I'll make sure to take some pictures. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think that's going to be cool. They're going to utilize that in some way, I would imagine, which will be super fun. And obviously, Vegas is a
Mm-hmm.
poppin' city, so getting the
Absolutely.
draft there would be cool. For the first time in what feels like a little while,
And
the
forever, would you
draft
say?
order. No, because it's been pretty fine
I was
for
quoting
most of the
Frozen,
time.
Chris, for the
Were
first
you?
time in forever.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, you were quoting Frozen,
Yeah.
dude.
Anyway,
Um, yeah. What the fuck was I saying? I don't even remember what I was saying.
for the
Oh,
first
yes.
time, yeah.
For the first time in obviously, well, no, not even for the first time. Realistically, the right team got the first overall pick. It went
Yeah.
to the San Jose Sharks.
As it should.
We were terrified that it was going to go to the Chicago Blackhawks.
We were all so worried about it, honestly.
Because I was I was ready to type in here. I fucking called that shit. Um,
Yeah.
so
And
your
honestly, when Bill
draft,
Daly showed up, I was like, that's because fucking Batman doesn't have the balls to show his own face while selecting Chicago. You know what I
yeah,
mean? So he sent someone else.
yeah.
And I was like, they flipped it over and it's San Jose. And I was like, all right.
I was like, oh my god. You
All
should have
right.
heard me. I was at work watching it, and I'm like, with the third pick, and I'm like, no, don't be. And then it said Anaheim, and I was like, fuck. So your draft order for the top 16
Mhm.
picks go as San Jose number 1, number 2 Chicago Blackhawks, number 3 the Anaheim Ducks, number
Whoop, whoop.
4 Columbus Blue Jackets, number 5 would be the Montreal Canadiens, number 6 would be the Utah NHL team. I'm still like not pioneering. I'm still like I'm still championing the idea of the Utah Storm and Mormons.
I wish.
It's a great name.
Um, it
Lean
it
into
is.
it. Lean into it.
Yeah.
Um,
I like the Utah Soakers personally because I think they can get away with that better. Um,
that's a good one.
but I don't
That's a
know
good
how
one.
likely that one is.
I
But
like
that's my favorite.
that.
That's my front runner.
Oh my god, that's so funny.
Yeah.
Um, as long as their celebrity mascot is fucking Philip Rivers and his 17 children.
Right?
Because I mean, if you're gonna do it, you might as well have
You might as
a
well fucking do it.
former Mormon athlete.
Yeah.
Also, shout out to Liam O'Brien. Spicy Tuna's ready. Are you ready for hockey in Utah?
Oh my god, I
That
loved
was
that.
so
And you
funny.
know
You
what?
could call me
Shout out to
Spicy
the
Tuna.
players.
Oh,
Shout
dude,
out
they
to the
were.
players for being like genuinely excited for a new transition and for taking this on. Like I there's got to be so much sadness with the way things ended
I know.
in Arizona, but at the same time, like they gave their new fans something to get excited for, and that's their fucking job. And
Yeah.
so they did it well. I think that they drew attention in all the right ways, personally.
Oh, I agree. I agree. I did have to laugh because, like, out of all, they were all pretty animated, and there's Logan Cooley, little rookie, like, Yeah, no, we're super excited. I'm like, homie,
Yeah.
we need you to develop a personality.
But that's the same, like Connor McDavid,
Connor,
soulless, empty eyes. You know what I mean? Some people
I
just
know.
never get comfortable in front of the
I've
camera.
I've
And
heard
I
he's a
bet
really
you if
nice guy, but fuck,
yeah,
dude, like,
I was gonna say,
loosen
like,
up.
I think if you met him on the street, totally
He's
amazing,
probably a
would be a great
super good dude.
conversationalist.
Yeah,
Yeah. However, you turn on the camera and he's just like, "Yeah, I
turns
like
into Ricky
chicken."
Bobby. I don't really know what to
It's
do with my
so fucking funny.
hands.
Yeah.
And then meanwhile,
It's
it's
hilarious.
like you look at all these young players who just
Yeah.
kind of, I don't know, they feel like they don't really have the personality. And then like Trevor Zegras comes on the scene and he's just clowning
Yeah.
everyone. And then everyone's like, hold on,
Yeah.
what is this kid doing?
Right. Or
Oh,
you just have
anywho.
if Evgeny Kuznetsov just exists.
Oh
If
my
you've ever
God.
seen any of
Yeah.
his Media Day stuff, talk about fucking personality.
Oh my God. Ilya Brizgalov is another one. What a fucking gem.
Yeah.
We didn't appreciate him as much as we should have.
Say
I don't
also,
fear anything
Seth
but Bear.
Jarvis.
Bear and Wood scare me. But Bear.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
Fucking fair. Fucking
Oh
fair.
my God.
Anyway, sorry, I interrupted you on number 7.
Anyway, I know. Number 7 will be the Ottawa Senators. 8 will be the Seattle Kraken. Ninth will be the Calgary Flames. 10th, New Jersey Devils. 11, Buffalo Sabres. 12, Philadelphia Flyers. 13 will be the Minnesota Wild. 14 will be San Jose Sharks. That is a pick that they got from Pittsburgh, involved or included with the Erik Karlsson trade.
Mhm.
15 will be the Detroit Red Wings, and 16 will be the St. Louis Blues.
Yes. Which that
Um,
makes sense as a list. Although, well,
that
I
is
think the Sens might
strictly
be a little high on the list, but that's okay.
so they didn't move anywhere. Like every
Yeah.
pick just stayed where it was supposed to, which also
Yeah.
leads to the question that we've asked: why the fuck do we need the draft lottery? What are we doing? I'm gonna say this again. It's stupid.
Yeah.
Just get rid of
Agreed.
it. The NFL is the highest grossing sports league in the United States, and you know what they don't do? A
Good
draft
shit.
lottery.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, by the way, it's been 5 minutes and it's still 3-3 in overtime.
Jesus.
This
I'm telling
fucking
you, they're just not gonna.
it's the
Although I will
never-ending
say,
hockey game.
I do love the fact that they don't do a shootout in postseason. That
It's
it
continuous
has to be.
overtime, yeah.
Yeah, it's just continuous overtime, basically.
Oh, they
It
had
has to be
so many.
decided by skill.
They've had like 4 great opportunities.
Yeah.
Ugh, yikes. Yeah. So, when is the draft again?
It is the 28th and 29th. And it'll be again in Las Vegas, televised from the Sphere.
And it'll be the first ever televised event from the Sphere.
Yeah. Did I say June 28th and 29th, or did I just say
No, you just
throughout
said the
these?
28th and 29th.
Yeah,
I
I
was like,
meant
oh, of
June
May?
28th and
Cool.
29th. Yeah, no, it's in June.
Oh.
It's well after the season ends, and it gives time for. I mean, we're gonna see what is it, Mac? What's his last name? Celebrini, Macklin, but I'm pretty sure
Oh,
he goes by
Macklin
Mac.
Celebrini, yeah.
Yeah, if he doesn't go by Mac, that's silly.
I know.
Macklin's a great name,
Why is that
but
your first
like,
name?
you should go by Mac.
You pretentious prick.
Yes,
No, I'm kidding. Macklin, you're probably a nice kid.
I 100% foresee him. Another kid out of Boston U, who we've talked about, has had some great dominating talent
Yeah.
come out of that program. He is presumed to be the first pick, and I think he even has like a history with San Jose.
San
Um,
Francisco area. So like Northern California, yeah.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, he's the son of Rick Celebrini, the Golden State Warriors director of sports medicine and performance. So he
yeah.
lived in the San Jose area and played for the San Jose Junior Sharks 14U AAA team. So
Oh
for him to
wow.
get selected by a team that he basically played for their junior hockey division,
Yeah.
is pretty cool to be
That is
where you get
cool.
your start.
I was hoping he would have come to SoCal, but it's okay. It's okay.
I mean, still would have been close enough, right?
It's the other side of the state, man.
Close enough.
California is
You
big.
remember, you have a very different mindset than the rest of the fucking country when it comes to driving places.
This is
So,
really true. All right, so like D
yeah.
learned today that New Englanders are fucking crazy. If it's
Yeah.
like more than 30 minutes, odds are we're not going.
Yeah. It can
But
be like family that you love and cherish, and you're like, well, that's 30 minutes out. Sorry. Whereas I drive 30 minutes to like go to a happy hour with friends on a regular
yeah,
basis.
but it's also like think about it takes 5 hours to get from one end of the state that you live in to the other. It
I
takes
know.
like an hour to drive across Connecticut.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
New England because everything is so densely populated. Even in Maine, Vermont,
Mhm.
New Hampshire, like civilization, everything is close. And
Yeah.
living near what is essentially the tri-state area, like Connecticut, like New Jersey, New York,
Mhm.
Rhode Island, Mass, like everything's so close together. Everything
Yeah.
I need, food, shelter, entertainment, grocery stores, hospitals, you everything I need is 20 minutes from me at
I mean,
most.
same with me. Everything I need is at most
Yeah.
20 minutes for me. But we're just more willing to drive further. Like I'm gonna go in a couple of weeks. I'm gonna drive 2 hours to go to my little cousin's first birthday party, and then drive back 2 hours same day,
Yeah, that is not you will never catch
which
me
would
do that.
never happen. Yeah,
Although
which is
to be
funny.
fair, for me, 2 hours I can end up in another state.
Yeah. Yeah, no, 2 hours,
Like
I'm not even through my state.
no, no, I've gone from north to south
Yeah,
in your state and it is the worst experience ever and I never want to
yeah,
drive that again. I wanted to cry big boy tears. I could have grown crops with said tears.
yeah. I
Oh,
understand. I understand.
nightmare, nightmare. Speaking of things that are completely unrelated to what we were just talking about.
To nightmares? Yeah.
Yeah. Um, we do have some NHL awards that have been announced.
We do. We have the finalists. So we
Yes.
have the finalists for the Vizina Trophy, which is again a goalie trophy. Um, Shocking nobody, although there is one notable exclusion that I'm actually a little bit low key surprised by. But we have Sergei Bobrovsky of the Florida Panthers, Thatcher Demko of the Vancouver Canucks, and Connor Hellebuck of the Winnipeg Jets. I am so surprised that Shesterkin is not on this list. He's been fucking killing it.
Yeah, that's
Absolutely
true.
killing it.
I mean, I'm also surprised Jake Ottinger isn't on that
Yeah.
list.
Mhm.
But I
Absolutely.
I've been saying I think I've said it like 2 or 3 times throughout the season. If Hellebuck doesn't win the Vezina, I'll be shocked
Yeah.
because he was lights out all season. Obviously, the
Yeah.
playoffs happened. The playoffs happened, and think about who they had to play the first round.
Mhm.
So yeah, but also I just like I feel like
Yeah.
that's the shoe in. That to me I think is the right call. But yeah,
Yeah.
not seeing Igor on there feels a little weird.
Feels a little strange. Linus Olmark took home the Vezina last year,
Dude,
first ever in his
Omar
career,
had
and
the
he deserved
best
it.
season out of any fucking goalie in a
Yeah.
long time last year.
Too bad his team couldn't say the same. They did not have the
That's
best
true.
season.
Well,
They had a
no.
first round exit.
Yeah, I mean they had the best season, then got knocked out in the play.
True, true, true. They didn't have the best postseason.
No, no.
Correct. Um, Next is the Calder Memorial Trophy, which I'm so sad Danger's not here because I know that she has some opinions as to who this should go to.
She does.
Um, she 100% does, and she can have those opinions. Her feelings are valid.
Yeah, it's
The
totally a
finalists,
fair thought.
yeah, the finalists are Connor Bedard, forward for Chicago, Brock Faber, Demon for Minnesota, and Luke Hughes, Demon for New Jersey. Um, so this goes to obviously the league's best rookie of the season. Last
Mhm.
year, it went to Matty Benier of the Seattle Kraken.
That's because Matty Beniers was a fucking monster last year.
Yeah, yeah. I think we all know who's going to win it this year. It's going to
Yeah,
be Connor Bedard, but that
I
doesn't
just
discount what Brock and Luke have
oh
brought to
no,
their
of
teams.
course not. And I
Like,
mean,
I mean,
you
there's a reason
you
why
could
they're
even
on
talk
this fucking
about
list.
Marco Rossi and like Pavel
Hmm.
Mintyukov and like other
Yeah,
guys that did have solid seasons. I just can't ignore the fact that Connor Bedard played like 20 less games than everyone and still had such an amazing offensive
yeah.
output. It's very impressive.
I will say potential hot take incoming. Is it impressive, or does his team suck so much that like any talent is gonna put up points more than
I
anyone else?
think it's
I think
I
that they're
think it's
centering their play style around him for a
yeah.
very specific reason. They're making him the face. Like I've said, they're putting a lot of responsibility on the shoulders of an 18, 19-year-old boy. Um, I think that his team is a huge, huge reason why he's on this list, and that is not to discount the hard work that he put in. Not to discount it at all, because even to get that many goals, if your teammates are always passing you the puck, look at Ovechkin. His teammates pass him the puck all the fucking time, and he still only could get 30 this year. So he has a level of finish that is impeccable, right?
Yeah.
But it is also to say that Minnesota was not passing to Brock as much because they have Kirill and a bunch of other people on the team. And so I do think that it is important to note that there are some differences based on how your team is positioning you as a rookie player. So
That's fair.
Connor Bedard has incredible skill, deserves it. He's gonna take home the Calder, and I'm so happy for him. But let's also acknowledge that his team helped him get there. And I just think that that's important because I this is a sport
Yeah.
where no man can do everything all on his own. We've talked
Mhm.
about that before. We've seen it with Sydney and with Connor McDavid and
Right.
with Austin Matthews most recently with Toronto's recent exit here. They are incredible skilled players. They cannot do it all alone, and their team is integral to doing that. So while I'm so, so happy for Connor, his team supported him in a way that I will eat my words and say that I'm surprised by. Chicago supported him in a massive, massive way, and that's important to notice.
Yeah. I agree with a lot what you're saying, but I also want to play devil's advocate here. I think that's really unfair to just assume that that's the situation. I think, and especially if you look at like his assist numbers, he
Mhm.
has almost 20 more assists than he does goals. Like
Oh, I'm
I
not
I
saying that
think
he's not a team player.
I think
I'm
it's
saying that
more
his team knows
so.
he's more reliable
Well,
than
I think
you know
it
what I
was
mean?
more so he's the one that stepped up. Realistically,
Possibly, yeah.
who else on that team was going to step up? The only closest player that you would have had was Taylor Hall, and he was out almost the entire season.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like you have a point, but I also feel like it's a little unfair to just automatically say that because it does kind of discount. And again, I'm not discounting
Yeah,
Brock Faber
100%.
or Luke Hughes. They both had amazing seasons, but I think it's more impressive to me in the situation that he's in that he still was able to put up these kind of numbers and play a
Oh,
shorter season due to
100%.
injury. I think that makes it more impressive than the other stats. And I also think it is impressive to look at Brock Faber's stats considering he was on a playoff team that has
Mhm.
a lot of great players around him. Um
Yeah.
that also is very impressive to me. Uh
Yeah, and
I'm
again,
not. I,
I'm not
I'm
trying to
also not
discount Connor at
surprised
all.
that they fucking supported him in Chicago either. Like I'm not. I'm not surprised at all. Um, the number that is surprising to me is his plus minus, which is minus 44. That tells me everything I need to know about that team's defensive abilities,
Yeah.
which explains why they were dog shit.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, it tells you again, to me, that backs up my idea that they relied on him maybe overly much. Um,
I think that's
because
a fair assessment.
yeah, because he had to be on the ice a lot in order to get a minus 44 ranking. You
I
know what I mean? That doesn't happen when
Yeah.
you're only getting 16 minutes of playing time a night
How many
or
fucking how
7
much?
minutes of playing time a night or what some of these other people have put up numbers wise.
What
Um,
is his this year penalty or time on ice?
I have no idea.
His average time on ice, I think, about 20 minutes.
Yeah,
So
which is a lot. Like
that's
that's a
actually
full period.
that's actually pretty average for a first liner, though.
I know, but for my view on it, and maybe it's just because of the organization that I've been in, is that our first liners are very rarely our rookies.
Yeah, but I
You know
mean,
what I mean?
I feel
It's
like
his
that
first
he's
year coming in being like first line, first line.
yeah. I mean, again, who the fuck else were they gonna put in the first line? But like, I think with his
Again,
talent,
yeah.
him being a first overall pick and
Mhm.
starting to produce the way he is, I understand why they put him on the first
Oh,
line, and I
100%.
honestly would have done the same thing. So I think
100%.
that's absolutely going to play into his
But it
average ice time.
it does again go back to me to my statement when we found out just how much fucking money they had left over to hit their cap space. Why are you not trading for better defensive men to give
Dude,
that kid more support?
you saw the fucking team I put together.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't mind that he has a minus 44. It's not necessarily his fault.
Yeah.
He's
No,
not the
I
only man on that team, but that's the one part where it's like, okay, yeah, you supported him. You did great. You needed to give him some goddamn D.
that's the well
Same with
that's
your
the
goalie. Your goalie deserved better D
yeah.
too. So
They need everything upgraded. And obviously the most important thing here is it's saying that they have a lot of work that they need to do
yeah,
to back this kid up the way that he needs to be backed up. Um,
yeah,
you took the only other player that would have scored you fucking goals and just went like, "Oh, he did something bad. We're not gonna tell you what it is,"
yeah,
and sent his ass to the curb. And I'm like, okay.
yeah.
So
Chicago's weird, man.
Chicago is weird.
Yeah. Um. All right. We still have a few more trophies to get through.
That's
Sorry.
fine. No, that's a
Sorry
good
for the
conversation.
absolute tangent.
It
Let
was
us
a
know
good
your thoughts
conversation.
below too,
Yeah.
about any of these finalists as we go through this list, about who you want to see win it, and why you want to see them win it. If it's just for personal reasons, you really like this player and you just want them to win because of that, great. Or if it's because you think that when you dive into the analytics, it tells a different story, let us know. We'd love to hear your thoughts on that. All right, next up, the James Norris Trophy, which goes to the league's best defenseman of the season. We have Quinn Hughes of the Vancouver Canucks, Roman Josi of the Nashville Predators, and Cale Makar of the Colorado Avalanche. I don't know why
The
I made that
Avalanche.
so,
The
yeah, Midwestern
Avalanche.
or something. Last year, very notably, Eric Carlson took that home with the Sharks, who then immediately were like, all right, bye,
They
go to
just
Pittsburgh.
traded him.
Yeah. Which that was the third time that Eric had won that in his career. So
That's
pretty cool
first.
stat for him.
Yeah, and he was back to Eric Carlson form last year.
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck happened this year.
Although his fucking diet is something leaves something to be desired.
I
Let's just say.
can't. I just can't.
I can't. Next up, we have the Bill Masterson Trophy. This awards the player who best exemplifies the qualities of perseverance, sportsmanship, and dedication. Um, the finalists are Frederick Anderson, a goalie of the Carolina Hurricanes, Connor Ingram, a goalie of the Arizona Coyotes, and Oliver Kylington, a defensive man out of Calgary Flames. Sometimes Calgary's name just confuses me. It doesn't
Calgary
make
Flames.
sense. Yeah, I don't know why.
No.
Anyway, last year, again, very notably, Chris Letang won that award
Hmm.
of the Pittsburgh Penguins after he had his second or third fucking heart attack and then was back on the ice and
He had a
like
stroke. Yeah,
or stroke. Yeah,
third stroke.
yeah. Again,
And then
crazy.
obviously his father passing away
Yes.
very soon after. I
Mm-hmm.
think this goes to Freddie Anderson.
I do too. I agree with
He
that.
had blood clots that very much so altered his life for a little while.
For a long while.
I think this goes to him, um,
Yeah.
because he's persevered and he's had an amazing season. I mean,
Correct.
look at where
Look at
Carolina
where they
is. I
are.
mean, this
Yeah.
game is still going. By the
I
way,
was gonna
there's
say
2 minutes
look
left
at
in
where they
overtime.
are,
It is
which is
still going.
still going. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
obviously respect to Kylington, who's had multiple bad leg injuries this season, and that's
Mm-hmm.
glad he's back. But like, yeah, I feel like this is a Freddie thing.
Yeah, I agree. Next up, we have the Jack Adams Award, which is for the head coach who has contributed the most to his team's success, which I am very salty that a certain someone is on this list, but we'll go through it. from the Winnipeg Jets, we have Rick Bowness, who is retiring, so it'd be kind of cool to see him win it. We have Andrew Burnett of the Nashville Predators, and we have Rick Tocchet of the Vancouver Canucks. Last year, it went to Jim Montgomery of the Boston Bruins.
Yes. Well, they had the best season in the history of the NHL.
Yeah. I'm very personally devastated that Spencer Carberry was not put on this list. The incredible bounce back from mediocrity isn't even a low enough word for how poorly we did through a major stretch of the season. To come into the playoffs with the worst differential in NHL history.
You guys were the worst statistical team to ever make the NHL playoffs. It was
100%.
pretty impressive.
And I think that deserves an award.
Too dumb to die.
Too dumb to die is 100% what we were. But I do think that he really contributed a lot to his team's success. He had to do some major rebuilding after Peter Laviolette left the team and the organization. Not to say anything against Peter, it just was a system that did not work in Washington due to the identity of Washington, I think. And so I personally am just going to say that he, this is not NHL approved, but I'm going to say he gets a special mention from the Pucked Up podcast.
Yeah, you know who I'm not surprised is on this list or not on this list? Greg Cronin, the Ducks head coach, because
I'm
were
not surprised
the
at all.
bronze medalist of the worst. Like we weren't even the worst team. That's really fucking embarrassing. That's worse than being picked last in gym class.
Yeah.
We weren't even picked last in gym class. We were just told to go sit on the bench because there were already too many people.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah, it was real bad.
Next up, the Lady Byng Memorial Trophy, which is to the player adjudged to have exhibited the best type of sportsmanship and gentlemanly conduct combined with a high standard of playing ability. So like it's the MVS, Most Valuable Sportsman, basically.
Yeah.
This year, the finalists are Austin Matthews, forward for the Toronto Maple Leafs, Elias Pettersson, forward for the Vancouver Canucks, and Jacob Slavin, defensive man out of Carolina.
Yeah, this can go to anyone. They're all good dudes. So like I'm not mad with whoever wins this.
100%. I'm going to say I think Elias is going to take it, but happy to be wrong because again, all three of them great and deserving. Last year, Anze Kopitar was the winner. Kings forward. He got it for the second time in his career.
Yeah, Anze is, as much as I can't stand the Kings, Anze Kopitar is one of the classiest players in the league. So
100%.
Yeah, not surprised.
Yeah, not at all. Then we have the Frank J. Selke Trophy. This is given to the forward who demonstrates the most skill in the defensive component of the game. I don't know why they make these like descriptions so complicated. Just like
it's the best defensive forward in the NHL.
Yeah, there you go. Shorten it. What? Anyway, it's like they have to hit like a word limit. You know what I mean?
They want it to sound fancy.
They do. Finalists this year are Alexander Barkov of the Florida Panthers, Austin Matthews of the Toronto Maple Leafs, and Jordan Staal of the Carolina Hurricanes.
I honestly could see this between Barkov and Matthews. If you're talking about players that
100%
get their ass hustled back on D, those two are class, like the head of the class there.
Absolutely, I agree. Last year, retired center Patrice Bergeron of the Bruins won it, marking his 6th in his career, which broke Bob Gainey's record for most Selkies in 2022 when he earned his 5th.
Yeah.
So just an incredible stat there for Bergeron, who
another one for Bergeron.
Yeah, an incredible.
His already Hall of Fame career.
Yeah, 100%. Next up is the Hart Memorial Trophy, which, as we all know, is the actual MVP deemed most valuable to his entire team. The names are not surprising to a single solitary soul. We have Nikita Kucherov, forward of Tampa Bay Lightning, Nathan MacKinnon, forward of Colorado Avalanche. Why do I say that so weird? Colorado Avalanche.
There you go.
And Connor McDavid, forward of Edmonton Oilers. Wow, these second words are just fucking me up tonight.
You are struggling today.
I'm struggling so hard. Maybe it's the whiskey in my cup. I don't know.
You know, that'll do it.
Might be doing it. Let's be real. Let's be real honest right now.
By the way, it's the second overtime.
Jesus fuck. Last year, McDavid earned the Hart Trophy for the second time in his career. I 100% can see this being third time's the charm kind of a situation.
Yeah,
However, I could also really seeing it go to Cooch. I think Kucherov
I've
would
been
be,
I mentioned at the fucking All-Star
yeah,
break, I thought Kucherov was the guy. I've been saying it
mhm,
for most of the season. I think
yeah,
it's not a bad shout for McDavid or McKinnon. Like
yeah,
both of them are
absolutely.
obviously deserving, but go look at the season that Nikita Kucherov has put together. Like
Mhm,
undoubtedly,
yeah,
I fully believe that he'll win the Hart, which again, well deserved.
absolutely. One more that we don't actually have the names for yet, because of course they won't be announced until tomorrow, is the Ted Lindsay Award, which is named after Hall of Famer Ted Lindsay, and it's the NHL's most outstanding player as voted by his peers. So this one is totally peer based. It's not just done by the NHL PWA, which is the NHL
Players Association.
Players Writers Association.
Oh yeah.
This is all current players. So that's obviously, I think that that's a really important award
Yeah.
for a lot of folks to get that recognition from players across the league. And obviously, last year, Connor McDavid won it,
Yeah.
which is the fourth time in his career that he earned that award. So we will have that updated list of the 10 Ted Lindsay Award nominees next week.
Yeah, for those of you that are new to the NHL, that's very similar
Yeah.
to how the NFL does the NFL 100 top 100, and it's
Yeah.
those are voted by the players. It's very
Mhm.
similar to that. But I think I agree with D. That's so fucking important to like
Yeah.
have that so because it shows that yes, they're all competitors, but at the same time, there's a hell of a lot of respect for each other.
hmm
So I think that's a big deal, and I feel like more leagues should do stuff like that.
I agree. I absolutely agree. Especially in this league, like there's only so many hubs where players go to train in the off season. So these guys are
Right.
with each other. They're beating the shit out of each other from October to April. And then from May for some of them, but from June to, September really.
Yeah,
They're palling around.
it's
So
pretty nuts.
yeah.
Yeah. um yeah, let us actually I do want to hear in the comments what you guys think about the Heart, who you guys think should win that.
Yeah.
Um let us know. All right, so I think it's time to finally discuss the playoffs. Um Obviously we didn't record an episode last week because we're still in the
hmm
middle of the first round. But the first round has been concluded. Um,
Correct.
Starting in the Eastern Conference, the Florida Panthers moved on after 4 games to 1 win over the Tampa Bay Lightning. The Boston Bruins moved on after a 7 game series ended with the Toronto Maple Leafs, which they broke an NHL record. They're the first they're the first team in NHL history to match up and make 4 game sevens in a row.
Wow. That's crazy. That's such a random
The
statistic
last
too, though.
four stat the last four meet
Yeah.
matchups have been in game 7, and Toronto has
That's
never
crazy.
won a game 7 against them. But in those four, they never won.
Which, like, when we were talking about who we wanted to win, like, just in our little group chat, we were like, it's hard because both outcomes are very funny. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like, both options,
And
either Boston losing or Toronto losing, very funny in their own different ways.
but what's the irony that the Bruins after last year are also playing the fucking
I know.
Florida Panthers?
Yeah,
Earmuffs for this one, D. Uh,
I know.
the New York
I'll
Rangers
try.
moved on after a sweep in the series over the Washington Capitals.
Yeah,
And the Carolina Hurricanes moved on after a 5 game series with the New York Islanders. On
yeah,
the Western Conference, the Dallas Stars moved on over the Vegas Golden Knights after a 7 game series. Colorado Avalanche advanced after a 5 game series with the Winnipeg Jets. The Vancouver Canucks advanced after a 6 game series with the Nashville Predators, and the Edmonton Oilers advanced after a 5 game series with the LA Kings. Your matchups for the second round are the Florida Panthers versus the Buffalo, Jesus Christ, Boston Bruins.
There you
The
go.
New York Rangers are currently playing the Carolina Hurricanes. The Dallas Stars are playing the Colorado Avalanche, and the Edmonton Oilers are facing off against the Vancouver Canucks.
And
I
notably,
mean,
New York is up 1-0 in their series, and Boston is up
yes,
1-0 in their series as
yes.
well.
And as of time of recording, Game 2 of the Rangers Hurricanes game is at the end of overtime, going into a second overtime.
Yeah.
I believe Colorado and Dallas are playing as well.
That I do
That
not
game
know.
is in the first intermission. Dallas is up 3-0.
Wow.
Yikes.
Yeah.
So I think this moves
Which
us directly into our
mhm.
question of the week. How do you feel about the first round? There were only 3 series that went more than 5 games.
Yeah. Um, my personal and professional opinion is that I'm always a little sad for early exits, not just because my team got fucking swept, which is
I feel bad because
we were
it
the
wasn't
only
even
team that got
close.
swept, by the way, which
Yes. Hurts a
yeah,
little
I'll
more.
acknowledge it.
Hurts a
Um,
little more.
hurts a little more when you're one of one. But there's still time left. We could see maybe something else crazy. Anyway, I think we all deserve more hockey. Um, and that's my
I
professional
could
opinion,
I could
is that
stand
we all
by
deserve more
this.
hockey.
Stand behind this. We deserve more
Um,
hockey.
also, I think I love seeing I mean, not as a fan when you're in it, but like as an outside observer, I love seeing evenly matched games where you're trading points and you're trading games, and you have to go to game 6 or game 7 to win it out. To me, that means like with Boston and Toronto, that means that you have 2 teams that are dug in and that are pretty evenly matched. It means the skill throughout the league is at a high and competitive level. And then you see games like what we experienced in the New York versus Washington series, where we fought back. You could tell that there was some fight there occasionally. It was a lot of close games. Well, not a lot because there's only fucking 4. But it's harder because then it's like nobody wants to get blown out every game. And that's not just like as a fan, like obviously we don't want that.
No.
The Rangers, I'm sure, loved it. Their fans, whatever. Um,
And we
but I
talked
think
about
as
multiple
hockey
times how
fans,
toxic their fucking fans are.
yeah. I think as hockey fans though, like it's not as fun to watch as just an average fan who just wants to see hockey. It's not as fun to watch a blowout. Because it's like, oh, okay, great. I really have no interest in this game. At least for me, that's how I feel. And that's how I feel about all sports whenever I'm watching the PLL or the NFL. Like watching the most recent Super Bowl was exciting because that back to back and the crazy overtime rules,
Oh
that is
yeah.
so engaging. Like that drives engagement. And I think we need that. And so when you have a lot of early exits or a lot of games decided in 5, which like those games that were decided in 5, by the way, weren't even close. They were all the other
Yeah.
team won a single game.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Very tough. Very tough. I
So
yeah,
I don't know.
I get it. I'm the same, but I think for me I'm more impressed and shocked than
Yeah,
anything.
fair.
Um these were all relatively good matchups. Like
Yes.
Winnipeg and Colorado,
Agreed.
stylistically, that's a great matchup. Um,
Right.
Carolina and the Islanders, great matchup. Edmonton and LA, that's a pretty good matchup. But
Hmm.
you just saw some teams flexing their fucking muscles. I never
Yeah.
thought that the Tampa Bay Lightning would have only had 1 win in the postseason.
Yeah.
That is mind blowing to me. The Tampa
Agreed.
Bay Lightning, who a couple years ago had made 3 straight Stanley Cups and won 2 of them.
Back to back. Yeah.
Like that's crazy.
Agreed.
The best series hands down out of the whole first round was Dallas and Vegas.
Yeah.
I I can't
Another
say the
game
same for
7.
Boston and Toronto because the Boston and Toronto series was very sloppy at points. Both teams very
Hmm.
much so struggled and looked like they didn't know what they were doing. Where
It,
Dallas and Vegas, they came with the fucking thunder each night, and you had to earn that win.
Yeah.
And hell, there was a good. I honestly thought that Vegas was going to take it because they started playing so well in Game 7, and just Dallas does what Dallas has
Yeah.
been doing all season, and they find a way to get a win. I'm
Yep.
very shocked to see Winnipeg not even put up a fight.
Yeah, an early
Connor
dismissal for
Hellebuck
them. Yeah.
had averaged 5.23 goals against in the
Mhm.
playoffs. In the playoffs, they played 5 games.
Yeah.
You have to give up about 5 goals a game to average 5 goals a game.
Yeah.
You
And yeah,
want to you want to talk about muscle flexing. Colorado just said we're not
sit down.
fucking around. Like this
Yeah.
is what's happening, and they just whipped their asses. Like it was
Yeah.
brutal.
Yeah.
I
I think um that was a more surprising series to me, to
Yeah,
see it be that uneven.
that one caught me off guard. I was like,
Yeah.
this doesn't seem right.
No.
Even with the Nashville Predators, like that was a team that I
Mhm.
genuinely thought was going to upset Vancouver. But
Yeah.
they
Which
took it to 6, but it just
yeah.
it didn't feel like they had it in them.
Mhm.
And I think that's a big part of it, right? Like
Agreed.
you're watching, and we've both watching in like I know out of the 3 of us, I mean we all watched enough hockey to understand team dynamics and like team
Mhm.
morale, like where teams' energy levels are during a game.
Yeah.
It just felt like whenever they got any sort of like push, just the wind got taken right back out of their sails, and they just couldn't keep it up. But I like
Agreed.
Vancouver and Edmonton as a matchup. You get obviously the lone Canadian teams left. Uh, I
I
think that's going to be a better matchup for these two teams.
yeah. I'm gonna say I want Vancouver to take that one, if we're putting in our thoughts here.
That's fair.
Just because I think, again, that's the funniest outcome. See, when I get into the playoffs, I then if there's not a team that I support, like, obviously I support the Washington Capitals, if Anaheim or Minnesota ever make it into the playoffs, um, more than I think that Minnesota made it last year, but they had an early dismissal as well.
Minnesota realistically has a better chance of making the playoffs than
Yeah.
Anaheim does
So,
anytime
like,
soon.
obviously, I will root for either of those teams because of you
Yeah,
all. But otherwise, it's just chaos. I'm rooting for the funniest outcome possible,
that's fair.
in almost all of these matchups. So the funniest outcome possible to me in the Edmonton Vancouver situation is
It's
Vancouver.
Vancouver.
Yeah.
Oh, because of everything that went down last year.
Everything that went down last year and the fact that Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, and that whole team of fucking superstars just still cannot fucking come up with one. And that's
Yeah,
the funniest outcome to me.
that is the curse of Gretzky.
It
You know,
really is.
last time the Edmonton Oilers won a Stanley Cup
Yeah.
when Wayne Gretzky was there.
Which was like what, 90 something?
Yeah, he left in the 80s, I believe.
That's right.
I think he left in the late 80s.
Late
Or
80s,
yeah,
yeah.
because he played what 3 seasons with
Mhm.
LA.
Yeah, the funniest outcome between Dallas and Colorado, by the way,
Is
is
Colorado?
Colorado.
Yeah.
Because that's so funny for Vegas, the defending Stanley Cup champions, to have had a back-to-back or to have a really, embattled first round,
Mm-hmm.
and then the team that beat them gets swept.
Gets swept? Yeah, that would be
That would be
hilarious.
the funniest fucking outcome.
The only outcome that I will laugh so hard at is if the Panthers beat the Bruins.
That would be also
2
hilarious.
years in a row? That would be such
Yeah.
a kick in the dick to Bruins fans.
Right. And then obviously the funniest outcome is for Carolina to beat,
Carolina to
the
win.
Rangers.
I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie. I'm I'm rooting for the Carolina Hurricanes for a little bit of sentimental value. Don't forget who they used to be. That used to be the
True.
Hartford
Hartford
Whalers. That is a
Whalers.
team that even though I was little when they left, it's still something that's a big deal in this state. People
Yeah.
still there's still that hope that they'll come back one day. We all know they
Yeah.
won't, but there's that hope, and it's nice to have seen when they won a Stanley Cup and they
Mhm.
finally got to the top of the mountain, and now seeing them, they're just knocking on that fucking door, and I
Yeah.
think we finally see this year that they got the pieces that they were missing.
Well, and for
Um,
me, sentimental reason, is that they have 2 of some of my favorite Washington Capitol players with
I know,
Dmitry
yeah, two of
Orlov and
them are
Yevgeny
there.
Kuznetsov. And fucking they got Gensel this year, which is just didn't he score 2 goals tonight?
Yeah.
Yeah, he had
All,
2.
well, and another thing for me with Carolina
Yeah.
is look at their goaltender.
Yeah.
Do you know who drafted Frederick Anderson?
No.
The Anaheim Ducks.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Okay,
if
nice.
Freddie Anderson spent like the first few years of his career in Anaheim. I'm a
Yeah.
big Frederick Anderson guy.
Well, so I
Uh,
think that this means that the Pucked Up podcast is officially all in on Carolina making a deep cup run, is what I'm gonna say to
yeah,
that.
and even though I'm a New Englander, fuck the Bruins.
Also, I just wanna point out, Chris, you're the only one who made a strong pick at the start of the season, and you're the only one whose pick has been denied.
But you know what? Honestly, I'm not upset that that was my
No.
pick, because in reality, if there and we all talk about this all the time and how hard it is to go back to back in the NHL, and there's a
Yeah.
reason it doesn't happen often. Um Goddamn, not for lack of trying though with these guys. Again,
Yeah,
if
I
I had
mean,
to do it all over again, I would still pick Vegas.
I honestly have to say it was a bad couple of puck bounces too that kept Vegas out of getting into round 2. You know what
Yes,
I
it
mean?
really
Like,
was. It
in a
was
lot of
some
games,
shitty
that's
luck.
the difference, is
Yeah,
just puck luck. So it wasn't like you were off because they completely fell apart and,
it wasn't like I picked the
embarrassed themselves
Islanders and they
on
got
national.
shithoused. It was
Right.
they
Right.
played a team that matched up perfectly
Very
against
well.
them and
Mhm.
just was better
Yeah.
on a few nights, and that's really all it takes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I
that
was
means
the
that
only
I'm
one
the
that
last
made
one
that pick.
standing.
You are. You're the
Um,
only one because Danger
yeah.
picked Winnipeg, and
Mhm.
Winnipeg was unceremoniously yeeted.
Yeah.
um,
So we'll
who do
see. We'll see
we
how this goes.
who are we taking for these 4 matchups?
So I'm saying Colorado takes it.
Okay,
I'm saying, and again, this is chaos mode. When we get to the finals, I'll be a little bit more serious.
you'll make an actual
Um,
educated guess.
I'll make an actual educated guess. But chaos mode is Colorado, Vancouver, Florida, because that is the funniest, and Carolina.
Okay, um,
You're
so
like, you're
that's
wrong on at least 3 of those.
no, that's fair. All right, so I'm gonna go with Dallas. I'm gonna go with
Fair. I think you're right on Dallas for the record.
I honestly, it just Ottinger's a savage, man.
Yeah.
That team has so many great young players. I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with Vancouver,
I
and
think that's a
I
coin toss as
also
to who wins that one.
yeah, I also agree with you on Florida and Carolina.
Yeah.
I feel like Bruins fans should be happy, but they should also be concerned because you cannot play like that the way
Yeah.
that they played against Toronto against the
Correct.
Florida Panthers. Okay,
So while I
yes,
did
you
say
won the game one, but
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah,
Florida
while I
Panthers
did
are no
say that
joke.
the Florida is the funniest outcome, they are actually, I think, statistically the better team,
Oh yeah.
especially when it comes to playoff appearances. I mean,
Hmm.
look at their recent history of cup runs.
Oh my God, the were like again the lowest rated seed last year, and
Mhm.
tore through everyone.
Yeah.
The toughest series that they had before they got to the Cup Finals was first round against the Bruins. They
I think that
shithoused
they
everybody
just
else.
I think they have an innate understanding of playoff hockey because playoff hockey
Yeah.
hockey is different than regular season hockey. And I think that Florida gets it right. Um, and then yeah, New York versus Carolina, which I think um where are we on that? Are they still in fucking OT?
They're still in overtime. Also, shout out to the guy that they
Yes.
have on camera wearing a Whalers jersey, and this guy's wearing a Whalers hat. Don't make me go grab my Whalers stuff. Um, But again, like
Maybe you
the
should though, because maybe
Bruins.
that's what will end it, Chris. Maybe
Maybe
we need that. Maybe you should do that right now. Please, for the love of God, just end it. That's all I want. We're in like the second OT right now. And these are full 20-minute overtimes. These aren't like rinky dink 5-minute things. These are full time.
Okay, so I can't find my hat, and I just realized that I have a lot of fucking hats. And you and Danger are trying to add to that collection, so
I am going to add to that collection. I saw one the other day that I was like, "Ooh, I think Chris would like that," and then I just forgot to do anything about it.
it's
So I'll go back and find that again.
I'm not allowed to wear it in any asset that my father would see me in because he will murder me.
If you
Yeah.
wear it on the podcast, though, I think he can't.
Yeah.
If it's
Also,
just
the
for the pod, if you
motherfucker
wear it in your
can't say
everyday life,
anything
yeah,
because he hasn't contributed
to
to.
the collection.
Yeah. Also, we'll be
Them's
buying an
the rules.
Arizona Coyotes hat just because.
Yeah,
Have
yeah,
to.
fair.
Let us know in the comments your thoughts on the playoffs.
Yes, round 2 predictions. Let's go.
Absolutely.
Also, let us know if you are pro being right based on statistics and numbers, or pro just absolute chaos.
I'm in for
In the
both.
comments below.
Bit of fucking both.
A bit of fucking both.
Oh, Panarin's in the penalty box.
Let's go.
I love that this is just
5
the
on 4 hockey, 2
storyline
minutes.
behind the scenes as we're recording this. Our
I
storyline is
know.
we're watching a double overtime fucking playoff game. I don't know if you're
It
watching it, but I'm
almost
definitely watching it.
I'm not watching it live. I'm watching like the play-by-play on NHL.com, which I love. I
Yeah.
think that that's a fantastic little thing. Although
Oh
it
yeah,
does
the
make
game
me
center.
actively want to pause the recording of this to watch this next 2 minutes. Fuck.
Yep. All right. Well, we actually did pause recording and watch the end of the game, and New York Rangers won in double overtime.
That makes me so sad.
I know.
But it's okay, because Carolina can battle back. If there's anyone that can battle back, it's them.
Carolina. Yeah.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
I don't want Rangers fans to get the satisfaction because I know New York sports fans and they will never shut
Yeah.
the fuck up if they win a Stanley Cup.
True.
But like
And I
also
mean,
it's their first one since 96 if they win, so like
yay for them, I guess. I will say though that this does they are going back to Carolina next.
Carolina.
Because these two are at MSG. And that might turn some tide, you know?
Do we get to see a storm
Almost.
surge?
I'd love to see it.
Same. Oh,
Honestly.
all right. Well, I think this leads us to our injuries and or fines and suspensions.
Which we really only have one, which love to see that. I love it when players behave in the postseason. We have yet to have any fines or suspension in like real postseason game play. But we did have one final fine come in just before the end of regulation. And that was on April 26th, Michael McCarron of the Nashville Predators. There was some goaltender interference against Casey DeSmith. And so he was assessed a $2,000 fine. So just to give you some numbers for where we at for the regular season and preseason fines and suspensions. In total, for suspensions, there was a total of 117 suspended games, and they forfeited $1,630,667.41 to the Players Assistance Fund, which clearly a lot of people use this year. So I'm glad to see that they did get such an influx of money coming in there. And then for our total number of fines, we don't have, I'm not going to count how many fines were issued. I really don't give a shit. But the total amount of dollars was $213,189.22.
Oh, wow.
So again, that brings the total to almost nearly $2 million. I think it's at like 18 or 9, 1.8 or 1.9 million dollars donated to the NHLPA this year. So all those naughty boys who were very, very bad and did bad things contributed to the overall health of their fellow teammates. And we're grateful for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thankfully, we are now able to make this way faster than we
Yeah.
ever have. The injury reports. Um, let's see. We have really only one new one.
Hmm.
And that's Danton Heinen. He is for the Boston Bruins. He is day to day with an undisclosed injury. Andrew Peak was also day to day, and that's really it for the Bruins. Carolina Hurricanes don't really have anyone new.
No.
Um, Same with the Colorado Avalanche. Dallas Stars don't have anyone new. Edmonton Oilers, Adam Henrique, as of May 2nd, is day to day with a lower body injury. He is not expected to play game one.
Hmm.
Um, for Florida Panthers, nobody new. Um, the New York Rangers, also nobody new. Nobody new for the
Yep.
no one new for the Vancouver Canucks. Yeah, that was it.
We're done.
We're done. That was the fastest ever.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
except for I think the week that we get to the actual finals when there's just two teams,
yeah, we're
because then
like
it's
no
just
one
like
was hurt.
no one knew. Period. And
Yeah,
and there
I
are
think
no
this,
stars of the week or month for the NHL. They do not continue into postseason. So
which is
just to
dumb,
note that it is dumb.
dumb, makes me sad.
Stupid. Agreed.
So I think that brings us to one of one of my favorite segments, and I think we all really do love it.
Agreed.
It is the obscure NHL Player of the Week.
There you go.
Button didn't want to work at first.
Right.
So our Player of the Week this week, as of chosen the year by D, I let her choose the year this week.
Yeah. Thank you
So
for letting
player,
me be a participant.
well, you're quite welcome. Is a player by the name of Bruce Baker. Bruce Baker was born April 25th, 1956 in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. He played right wing. He was drafted. This is funny. He was drafted in
Okay.
1976, which was a very interesting year because he was drafted in both the NHL and the WHA. He was
Oh,
drafted in the NHL 18th overall by the Montreal Canadiens, and he was drafted in the WHA 55th overall by the Calgary Cowboys. Um,
love that. Bring that
he,
back. The
yes,
Calgary Cowboys. Bring it back
the Calgary Cowboys. Oh,
immediately.
it's a great name. Do you know what's so special about this man?
His left toe was bigger than his right toe.
You know what? That could be true, and he might
We
be
have
really
no data to
sensitive
prove
about
it.
that. Yeah, I know. No, he never played a single game in the NHL. He
Wow.
instead chose to play his entire 5-year professional career. Um,
In the WHA, or did he go somewhere else
uh,
entirely? Because that would be impressive if he's drafted into two
no,
leagues
you
and
know
said, "Fuck
what?
both of you."
He didn't
He
play in
should.
the WHA either.
That's amazing.
He played the entirety of his 5-year career in the American Hockey League with the Nova Scotia Voyagers.
That's incredible. Shout out to you, Bruce, for being like, I don't really like either of you fucks. I'm gonna go
Yeah.
with the secret option 3 that none of y'all knew about.
Yeah, boom, let me just play minor league hockey. Fuck you.
Yeah.
That's a goal of mine. In
Yeah.
like the NHL series, when you do like the create a pro, I want to create a character that genuinely never
Mhm.
leaves the AHL. Like I just want to make a
That'd
minor
be
league
great.
career. That would be
Yeah,
pretty great, wouldn't it?
that'd be fun.
Um,
We should do
but
that.
yeah, I have no stats on Bruce Baker at all.
Hmm.
Let me see if I can find some while we're here.
Well, I mean, the one stat we do have is that he's a boss who definitely saw life as a choose your own adventure book, and
Hmm.
picked an option that so few rarely ever get to, which is to say fuck you to some major teams, I guess. I never play for them.
Yeah, I know. Let me see. Can I? That's not what I want. I want you to back out of this. Thank you. I want you to go forward again. There we go. Going real fucking well over here.
Yeah, clearly. Also, Avalanche is battling back. They're still in the second, and it's now 2-3.
Yeah, I know. It looks like he didn't really have a stellar, like nothing special.
Hmm.
Um,
That's okay,
yeah,
BB. You're still special
36
in my heart.
in like full game seasons, 36 points, 29 points, 22, 25. Like he was a solid player, but he
Yeah.
just was never really flashy. But shout out to you, Bruce Baker, for being such a baller, for being like Montreal Canadiens.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good.
Yeah.
You want to go play in the WHA?
Nah.
Nah,
Maybe
I'm
later.
good. Yeah, I'm gonna go play minor league hockey.
I love it.
Yeah, I know. Thought that one was fun. I think
Yeah.
that's gonna round it out. We have a very short episode for you guys today.
Yeah.
Not
Not
much
really much
happening.
to go over.
I know.
No, just some
Um,
controversial hot takes from your favorite hosts, but that's it.
I don't really think they're that hot either.
I think my take on Connor might have been a little hot, a little spicy.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like you
Again, I'm not
channeled your hatred for the
diminishing him.
Chicago Blackhawks, and
I
like,
do.
which is fair. That's
But
fair. You
again,
know, to
I
not
just
like
think that
them.
his team supported him in a way that other teams didn't, potentially, while also
Yeah,
simultaneously letting him down by not fully supporting him with a strong defensive core. But like, whatever.
God, and imagine if they gave the first overall pick
Imagine
to
if they fucking.
Anaheim.
Can you imagine though if Chicago was like, all right, we now have all the components. We have a superstar that rivals Connor McDavid in terms of his prowess on the ice. He's not great defensively yet. That's a skill that he's going to need to adjust to in the
Yeah,
NHL. Let's get him a defensive unit. Let's spend the fucking cash. Let's do it now. And let's start dominating.
and just hope he doesn't
Dominate young
leave.
and early.
Yeah.
Imagine if they had done that.
Mhm.
Just think about it. What a
Imagine
world.
if imagine an alternate reality that he's playing for the Anaheim Ducks because they actually got the first
Because
overall
they
pick.
actually should have, yeah.
And like
Which also
imagine
could have
how
changed things on your team. Imagine that
imagine
combo.
with all of the players that we have, all the young
Mhm.
talent, goddamn. That would be that team would have been
Yeah.
way better. With his 61 points, we were missing
Mhm.
those. We really were missing those. And like it's hard because Leo Carlson is also insanely talented. But he was
Yeah.
hurt for most of the fucking year. He
Yeah.
didn't even really play. So
Mhm.
it made it tough. But c'est la vie.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
C'est la vie, or whatever the French say. Have you seen that
C'est la vie.
TikTok?
Yeah.
No, you
No,
have not seen that TikTok?
I don't have TikTok
Oh my
still.
god, it's so funny.
I don't spend a lot of time on social media anymore, so
I
I still don't have
cannot hear
TikTok.
people say "say love you" without thinking of it because it's just this dude in his car who's like explaining something that happened. He's like, "But you know, sous la vie or whatever," and everyone
That's
was like,
funny.
"Beg your finest pardon."
What?
Excuse me? Which
Sir?
like "sous la vie" translate in French to something that's like hilarious too. It's something like grab the alcohol or something.
That which
And it's
also
like,
like
don't mind if
yeah.
I do.
That's funny. Oh
Yeah.
my god. Shout out to the French who just gave the WWE like the craziest fucking pay-per-view of like the last 30 years. Like the crowd was insane.
Oh, really? I didn't see it.
Almost 12,000 people, like they were in unison the entire arena just chanting stuff, getting super
Nice.
involved. Like it felt like old school wrestling. It was pretty cool. So shout out to the French fans.
Yeah, there you go.
If there are any French fans, listen to the podcast. Merci.
Thank you. Yeah.
We enjoy having you here.
Mhm.
I was like, do I want to say thank you in English or French? Probably French. Makes more sense.
Yeah.
I
Fair.
used to speak French. Like I took French for like 8 years, and I was really good at it
Yeah.
as a kid. Now I'm in my 30s, and
Not,
your
yeah.
boy gonna have to hit up Duolingo again.
Shout out to Duo.
Dude, shout out to
Crazy
Duo.
motherfucker.
Um, right. Did you see the Duolingo owl got a fucking BBL?
Yeah.
the, the
That's
Duolingo
what I mean
owl
by
has
shout out to Duo.
cakes.
Yeah.
Goddamn.
He's also obsessed with Dua Lipa, which I appreciate.
I am also a little, you know.
Who isn't?
That is my celebrity crush. That woman is perfect.
She's gorgeous.
Dua Lipa, if you're ever hearing this, hit us up. Come hang out with us and talk
Please.
about hockey. We could teach you about hockey.
Yeah.
And you'd automatically be way cooler than you already are.
100%.
For real.
Just look at Tate McRae.
Dude, shout out to Tate McRae. Shout out to Michael Bublé. Like,
Yeah.
for doing mushrooms at a very like big
Very
event.
important.
What a fucking legend.
Mm-hmm.
If you guys are watching us on YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Let you know anytime we upload. If you guys are listening to us on Spotify or watching us on Spotify, or anywhere else, give us a like and a review. That would be super helpful. In the comments, I want to hear what the biggest upset what do you think is the biggest upset in NHL history?
Ooh, good question.
Like, a lot of people have a lot of things to say about that.
Yeah. Absolutely,
like,
I agree.
biggest like shock upset or biggest bad memory for a team. And if you're a Buffalo Sabres fan, if you don't say the foot in the crease, then you are not a true Buffalo Sabres fan.
Or you're like 5, and that's fine too. You may not have been alive for it.
If you're a Lightning fan, when the year they won the President's Trophy and got swept by the fucking Blue Jackets in the first round. Oh my god. Yeah, I have so many of those that I could talk about. Anywho, anything to add before we
No.
All right. Well, as I like to always sign off, peace, love, puss suitor.
There you go.
We will see you motherfuckers next week in the face-off circle.